There's something about a kitchen that feels like home. Not just any home, but your home. The smell of coffee brewing, the clink of dishes after dinner, the way sunlight fell across the linoleum at 3 p.m. In the 1940s, kitchens weren't just places to cook. They were hearts of the house. Busy, practical, full of life, and shaped in ways we'd hardly recognize today. Back then, kitchens weren't built for open-concept living or granite countertops. They were built for work, for efficiency, for keeping the family fed during wartime and peace alike. And their layouts? They followed rules most of us have long forgotten. Today, we're flipping to the pages of time to uncover 10 kitchen layouts from the 1740s that look nothing like today's. From tiny servant-style nooks to wartime wonders, these designs tell stories of a simpler, more hands-on era. So pull up a chair, maybe pour yourself a glass of cold milk, and let's step back into the kitchens of yesteryear. The kitchen closet, cooking in a cupboard. Imagine opening a door and stepping into your kitchen. No doorway, no arch, just a closet with a sink, a stove, and maybe a tiny table. That was the kitchen closet, popular in small city apartments and modest homes before World War II. It wasn't fancy, often under 50 square feet. It had everything tucked tightly together. Fridge on one side, stove opposite, sink wedged in the corner. Some even had fold-down counters. You'd cook standing up, wash dishes leaning forward, and store flour in a cupboard above the oven. This layout came from Victorian times, when cooking was seen as messy work best hidden away. By the 1940s, it was fading, but still common in older buildings and budget homes. Why did it disappear? People wanted space, light, air. After the war, families grew, homes expanded, and nobody wanted to feel like they were cooking in a broom closet. But for those who lived in them, there was a kind of cozy charm. Everything within arm's reach. No wasted steps. Just you, the pot roast, and the radio telling stories from faraway places. The breakfast nook kitchen, where mornings began. Before breakfast bars and kitchen islands, there was the breakfast nook, a little booth built into the corner of the kitchen, usually wrapped around a small table. It was the heart of morning life in 1940s homes, often made of wood with padded vinyl seats. These nooks could seat 4, sometimes 6. Mom would serve eggs and toast right where she cooked. Kids scrambled in their pajamas. Dad read the paper, and someone always spilled their juice. These kitchens were designed so the stove, sink, and fridge formed a triangle before we even called it a work triangle. The nook sat just off to the side, close enough to keep an eye on the food, but separate enough to feel like its own little world. They were especially popular in new suburban homes rising after the war. Builders loved them because they saved space and added charm. But by the 1960s, tastes changed. Families wanted dining rooms again, or bigger tables. The nook became too small, too tight. Now, we only see them in old diners or retro remodels. Still, if you've ever eaten pancakes in a cozy corner, bathed in morning sun, you felt the magic of the breakfast nook. The scullery kitchen, where the mess was meant to happen. Long before dishwashers and garbage disposals, there was the scullery, a second sink area, often separated from the main kitchen by a half wall or door. Think of it as a dirty kitchen. Here, pots were scrubbed, vegetables cleaned, and laundry sometimes done. It kept the mess out of sight. The main kitchen stayed neat for cooking and eating. The scullery took the brunt of the labor. Popular in larger homes and farmhouses, the scullery had deep sinks, drain boards, and shelves for buckets and brushes. Some even had a second stove for canning in the summer. It reflected a time when housework was constant and expected. Women didn't just cook. They preserved, cleaned, and managed every detail of the home. The scullery helped divide the work. After the war, as appliances improved and time-saving tools arrived, the scullery faded. Why have 2 spaces when one could do it all? Now, we might miss it. Ever wish you had a place to peel potatoes without splashing water on your nice countertop? That's what the scullery was for. The gaslit galley, narrow, bright, and efficient. Picture a ship's kitchen, tight, straight, and built for speed. That's the galley kitchen. common in both apartments and new post-war homes. Running wall to wall, it packed stove, sink, and fridge along two parallel counters. You could take 3 steps and touch all 3. No wasted motion, no extra room, just pure function. What made it special? Gas lighting. Many 1940s galleys had gas-powered lights above the stove or on the ceiling. Soft, warm glows that flickered slightly like candles. Combined with white tile and chrome handles, it gave the kitchen a clean, futuristic look. Soldiers returning from war liked these kitchens. They reminded them of ships and barracks. Simple, orderly, easy to maintain. But as families grew and kitchens became social spaces, the galley felt too closed off, too narrow. Open floor plans replaced them and electric lights took over. Still, some love them today for their efficiency. If you've ever cooked in a camper or a tiny home, you've danced through a galley's rhythm. The radio kitchen, where the news came with dinner. In the 1940s, the radio was king, and in many homes, it had a permanent spot in the kitchen, mounted on a wall or sitting proudly on a shelf near the stove. These radio kitchens were designed with entertainment in mind. While Mom stirred the soup, she could listen to President Roosevelt's fireside chats, war updates, or shows like Amos Andy. The layout often placed the radio between cabinets, at ear level, sometimes with a little shelf for notebooks or recipes. Some even had built-in speakers. It turned the kitchen into a newsroom, a classroom, a theater. Kids learned history while setting the table. Dads heard baseball scores while washing up. As TVs moved into living rooms, and later, kitchens, the radio lost its throne. But for a decade, it was a heartbeat of the home. Even now, turning on a song while cooking feels like a quiet tribute to those days when a whole family gathered round the sound of a voice from the box. The farmhouse work zone, big, rugged, and ready, out in the country. Kitchens weren't about style. They were about survival. The farmhouse kitchen was wide, sturdy, and built for heavy use. Long wooden tables dominated the center, scarred with knife marks and stained with years of meals. Stoves were massive coal or wood-burning monsters that heated the whole room in winter. Sinks were deep and wide, often set in thick porcelain countertops. Pantries stretched floor to ceiling, filled with jars of preserves, sacks of flour, and hanging herbs. These kitchens didn't follow modern rules. The fridge might be in the corner, the stove near the window, the table blocking the path. But it worked because everyone knew their place. With rural electrification in the late 1940s, things began to change. Modern stoves arrived, freezers replaced ice boxes, and the big farmhouse tables slowly moved to the dining room. But the spirit remains in country kitchens where comfort matters more than design. The Appliance Alley, where gadgets took center stage. After the war, shiny new appliances flooded American homes, and some kitchens were redesigned just to show them off. Appliance Alley kitchens lined the stove, fridge, and washer, yes, washer, along one wall. Everything plugged in, polished, and proud. These were symbols of progress. Electric stoves replaced gas. Refrigerators got automatic defrost. And some even had early dishwashers tucked beneath the counter. Home magazines showed women smiling beside their gleaming machines, as if the appliances themselves were family members. Meet Betty and her new Frigidaire. But cramming so much into one wall caused problems. No room for prep space, awkward movement, and washers in the kitchen, wet socks next to the pie dough. By the 1950s, builders moved laundry to basements and garages. Kitchens returned to balance. Still, that post-war pride in technology lives on. Every time we ooh and ah over a new smart fridge. The hidden kitchen, out of sight, out of mind. In wealthier homes, the kitchen was not a gathering place. It was a servant's domain. The hidden kitchen was tucked away behind swinging doors, often near the back staircase. Only staff entered freely. The family came in for snacks or quick bites, but meals were served in the dining room. These kitchens were large and well-equipped, but isolated. Windows faced alleys, not gardens. Entrances were separate, so maids could come and go unseen. It was a holdover from the 19th century, but still common in older mansions and elite neighborhoods in the 1940s. As domestic help became less common after the war, these kitchens lost their purpose. Families began cooking together, eating together. The walls literally came down. Now we value openness, connection, but once, the perfect kitchen was one you never had to see. The Victory Kitchen, built for wartime survival. During World War II, metal was scarce. New home construction slowed, and kitchens had to do more with less. Enter the Victory Kitchen. Simple, patriotic, and efficient, made with substitute materials like masonite and laminated wood. These kitchens avoided steel and aluminum. Countertops were painted wood. Cabinets were basic, often unfinished. Appliances were shared or repaired, not replaced. But they were also centers of patriotism. Housewives canned tomatoes, rationed sugar, and posted meal plans based on government guidelines. The layout? Usually a basic L shape, with every inch used wisely. A magnet board held recipes. A chalkboard tracked rations. When the war ended, people rushed to upgrade. But the Victory Kitchen taught a lesson. Simplicity can be powerful. Today, with tiny homes and minimalist trends, we're rediscovering that same wisdom. The kitchen-diner combo. One room, two jobs. Before separate dining rooms became standard, many families ate right in the kitchen. The kitchen-diner combo was common in modest homes and bungalows. A small table, often round or drop leaf, sat in the corner, sometimes on a different floor tile to mark the dining zone. It wasn't fancy, but it was warm. Conversations flowed from stove to table. Kids did homework nearby. Grandma told stories while the beans simmered. This layout made sense in smaller homes. Why heat and clean two rooms when one could do both jobs? But as homes grew in the 1950s, the dining room returned as a symbol of comfort and status. The kitchen became purely functional again for a while. Funny thing is, we've come full circle. Today's open concept kitchens bring the table back into the cooking space. Maybe we never really left. Kitchens may have changed, but the feeling hasn't. That warmth, that comfort, the way a simple meal can bring everyone together. The 1940s gave us kitchens built for work, for war, for family. They weren't perfect, but they were real, and they carried us through one of the most defining decades in American life. Which of these layouts reminds you of your grandma's kitchen? Did you grow up with a breakfast nook or a radio on the wall? Drop a comment below. We'd love to hear your memories. And if you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and ring that bell. We'll keep bringing you stories from America's past, one nostalgic moment at a time. Until next time, keep the coffee hot, the table set, and the stories alive.